Hey guys, Coach Brandon here with another member question, and today we are discussing why can't I trust others like I used to? And so obviously the answer is because you can't trust anybody. We've all heard it before. If you want something done right, just do it yourself. Well, that's not actually what I believe. I'm a big fan of trusting others, but before I dive into that, in case you don't know how this works, is inside of my free Skool community, members can go on and ask a question. I will always answer the question in the community, but if it warrants a full video, I will record a video with my answer and put it out there for the world to see. So that is exactly what we're doing today. Now, trust in others is something that I used to struggle with a lot. And over my last year, from March of 2025 to March of 2026, I've lost 84 pounds. And throughout that entire journey, obviously it was a major physical transformation. However, one of the biggest transformations was up here. And in that, my relationship with others and my relationship with myself was one of the biggest factors in my success. That is also a major factor in all of my current relationships and how I choose to move forward with trusting others. So let's read the question in depth and dive in. So this started on my daily audit. So on the daily audit, one of my members actually responded to the daily audit, the evening audit, like biggest win, all of that. You guys can look at that separate, but then I give a follow-up question, right? On the trust piece, when you say that you're trying to solve trust, do you feel like it's more about trusting other people, trusting your own judgment, or something else entirely? Curious what situations have been bringing that up for you lately. And then they respond, trusting other people, but I do question my own judgment at times. I credit my strong gut radar, meaning I go with my gut feeling and that never fails, but it just fathoms me. A friend for years can flip the bill on you with a snap of a finger, make you question were they really a friend or a foe all these years. Maybe it's me outgrowing them, or I just can't trust them anymore, and it leads me to questioning other people's intentions now. Okay, there's so many things caked into that. In all of our relationships, in order for them to not turn toxic, no matter how the other person acts, right? We can't control the other person. No matter how good our people picker is, no matter how much time and effort we put into choosing the right people and getting rid of the wrong people, right? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I can't control you, and you can choose to betray me for any reason. It might be justified, it might just be because you're a crappy person, but it doesn't matter. I have to be prepared for that every step of the way. Now, I'm trying to make my people picker really good, and so hopefully that doesn't happen at all, or if it does happen, it happens very few and far in between, right? Like 20, 30 years, maybe it happens once. However, I still have to know that I'm gonna be okay if it ever happens. My best friend, my spouse, my coworker, my business partner, whatever the case may be, I have to make sure that my house is in order so that if anything ever happens, that it doesn't derail me and I can actually weather the storm, right? And so here, we're gonna go over 3 things that will get you to where you can weather any storm no matter what. So no matter what happens, no matter how deep or egregious the betrayal, that you can actually handle it, keep moving forward towards your goals, not move backwards, not derail, and not have your life just completely blow up. Step number 1, you have to get comfortable being alone. This is something that I got really good at when my life blew up. My wife left me, I lost custody of my children, I didn't have a job, I ran out of money, I was living in cheap hotels and motels and in my car. I got very comfortable being alone, right? Not a big social circle, and even if I would have had one, I couldn't afford it. And so for months, I mean literal months, it was me, dog, and 4 walls. Not these 4 walls, but like, again, cheap hotels, cheap motels, or just my car, right? It gets me to a point where I no longer have to rely on others to bring me up to baseline. I'm a huge fan of asking for help. I am a huge fan of accepting help. I am a huge fan of having a circle of people around you that can help you out and lift you up and be supportive and additive. But it has to add to you from 0 or a positive number. If you're back here below 0, the only reason you're pursuing relationships is to pull you up to baseline or better. And that is exactly why relationships become toxic. When you are at a point less than zero, when you are struggling with your own self-worth, your own self-esteem, and your own identity, when you pursue relationships with others, it is a numbing behavior. It is a soothing mechanism. You are seeking external validation from others to feel good. You first have to become comfortable with your own self-worth and your own identity. You have to connect with the self that was you when you were a baby. Baby Brandon, baby you. The soul spirit of who you are without any of that external environment that influenced you to become where you are today. You have to start at the baseline and be better. That way the relationship is additive. And that really starts with just being comfortable being alone. Like I said, if you don't have anybody else, you can't ask them to pull you up. So now you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? It's a little cliche, but ultimately it's your responsibility, and it starts with getting comfortable being alone. Now, how do we get comfortable being alone? Because now we can't seek it from others, but we can start learning self-soothing behaviors. We've all heard it, especially those of us with kids, but even if we don't have kids, we've probably heard it before. We have to learn to self-soothe. Just like the baby needs to learn to self-soothe at night. The baby needs to learn to self-soothe when mom can't tend to it immediately. You need to learn to self-soothe. It starts by stacking small wins early. Remember, pat yourself on the back for even the smallest of wins. Just drinking liquids that don't have calories over drinking sodas all day long is a major win. So in terms of self-soothing, we can learn to self-soothe with adaptive behaviors versus maladaptive behaviors. Let's take some examples. Constantly seeking that validation from others, especially in emotionally intimate relationships, I would say is maladaptive. But having healthy relationships with others is a form of an adaptive relationship. Other things, going to the gym, going to the coffee shop, going out for a walk, playing with dog, all of those things are forms of adaptive behaviors, right? Examples of maladaptive behaviors: toxic relationships, drinking, drugs, porn, gambling. All of these things are maladaptive. They help us self-soothe, but they don't move us towards our goals. In fact, they keep us away from our goals. The self-soothing journey starts by using some of these tools. Let's add tools to our tool belt. Every time we get hungry, maybe I go get a caffeinated beverage. It's better than every time I get hungry, I go eat a pizza, right? And then as I get more advanced, the tools start to be used less and less, or they start to have less of an external validating effect, right? So now instead of grabbing a caffeinated beverage every time I get hungry, now I grab a Topo Chico, so just carbonated water, right? And then eventually I need to graduate to where I am not using tools at all. That the self-soothing becomes fully introspective, right? So we start being alone, and we can use tools. Tools are good. But again, we don't want them to be our crutch forever, so now we graduate to solely introspective self-soothing. I need to be comfortable regulating my emotions in the absence of any tools. So no more grabbing the caffeinated beverage. No more grabbing the Topo Chico when I'm hungry. No more calling this person when I'm upset. No more XYZ, right? Solely in here and in here. Now, that can be really, really tough. And what I have found, the best tool out there that exists on my inside is neurolinguistic programming. I've read 4 or 5 books in the past couple of months on neurolinguistic programming, and it is incredible. For those of you that don't know what it is in essence remapping your mind. So think of your perception of reality as a map. The way you see the world through all of your senses, through sight, taste, smell, hearing, touching, that's the map of reality. Our perception is reality, right? And so sometimes that map needs a software update. Sometimes it gets outdated, whether that just be from exposure, trauma, things change, whatever the case may be. Sometimes we just need a software update. And neurolinguistic programming is exactly how to update that software. It is a tool for your mind on how to remap your reality. And so if something is not working right, if something is maladaptive, or you can simply just see, I could do this better, neurolinguistic programming has been an incredible tool for helping me introspect and helping me remap my perception of reality. And it has been killer in terms of regulating my emotions. As an example, one of the biggest things in NLP is visualizing your memories, right? So a lot of people see in pictures, a lot of people don't see in pictures, but what we can do is we can practice the skill of seeing in pictures. And so we start to give these sub-modalities to our memories. Is it in black and white? Is there an outline around it? Is it in motion? Is it still? Is it first person experience? Is it third person experience? And we start to assign all these sub-modalities to these memories. And from there, now we can manipulate those sub-modalities. If it is a painful memory or a painful event, or even a traumatic memory or a traumatic event, I can now take that picture in my mind. So I've got it, it's a video, it's in black and white. Now what I can do is I can actually shrink it down to the point where I can barely see it. I have to squint to see it. And then I shrink it even more where I can't even see it. And now it's the size of a crumb, and I swipe it off the table. I actually like throwing it away. I think in the book it told me to like dust it with a broom, but I like taking it with my left hand and I like throwing it to the side. And that changes the entire experience of that event. So anytime that I may be feeling heightened emotions, especially negative emotions, I'll go back to the memory of like what caused it. Like what am I remembering that are causing these emotions? And then I may change the brightness of it. I may change it from color to black and white. I'll shrink it down and then I'll throw it away. And it helps. And so if that sounds interesting to you, check out NLP. I'm not affiliated with it whatsoever. I mean, I don't have any sponsors at this point, but neurolinguistic programming has been amazing for me, and I think it would be really helpful for you guys as well. That is, in essence, how you get comfortable being alone, and getting comfortable being alone is how you build that self-identity. And that self-identity is where trust in others becomes additive, and it doesn't take away, right? So in order to trust others fully, you have to be fully self-reliant. You have to be able to weather any storm, no matter what happens. Again, best case scenario, nobody ever betrays your trust. But the reality we live in, we know it's going to happen at some point because it happens to everybody. It's already happened to most of us. And so regardless of the betrayal, regardless of how egregious it may be, we have to know that we're going to be okay and we're going to make it through. And that comes down to being independent, not dependent. So it's your job to go from dependence to independent. And you do it through those 3 steps, right? They kind of stack on top of each other. You have to get comfortable being alone. In order to be alone, you have to know how to self-soothe. And one of the best ways to self-soothe is the remapping of your brain through neurolinguistic programming. Hey guys, if you like this video and you like this format, you can actually have any of your questions answered exactly like this. All you have to do is scan the QR code or click the link in the description and join my free community. So I have a community hosted on the Skool platform where all of my members, free and my one-on-one clients, are all a part, and they can ask questions to me directly. And inside of the community, I will take the time to answer your questions incredibly detailed and in depth. And if it warrants a video, I will record a video just like this, pop it on YouTube, answer the question directly, but really go into a deep dive, detailed answer to your question. So if you like that, if you have questions about weight loss, lifestyle, mindset, finances, anything that I talk about, anything that you're struggling with, pop in, join the community. Like I said, it's completely free, and ask away. We also do a bunch of other things like daily audits, updates. We have a wins page, announcements. So it's really just an awesome place to join others on the same journey that you're on, right? I've done this journey myself. There's plenty of others alongside of you that are on similar journeys, and building that support system, that community, whether it's in person or virtual, is super, super vital. So like I said, you can scan the QR code or click the link in the description if that sounds like a good fit. And again, it is free. I will see you next time, guys.